Hello, everybody. It's Jake Gino, host of Jake and Gino podcast here with my co-host, the multifamily mentor, the coach, chef, the father, six, the best-selling author, the G-Daddy, Gino Barber. Gino, how's it going?
Jake, I'm doing good today, brother. How you doing? Back from vacation, looking good. Got the sweatshirt on.
You know, it's not St. Lucia temperatures right now, so we got to keep it warm in Tennessee. But very special guest today. Today's guest is a seasoned executive with over 30 years of entrepreneurial experience across many industries. Currently serves as the co-founding principal, president, and CEO of Rev, the multifamily leasing company. Really excited to get into this. Started that in 2019. Prior to this, he was a development partner and project manager at Surge Center Development, playing a pivotal role in expanding the company from 35 to nearly 200 ambulatory surgery centers. So Gino has friends in the industry, so I know he'll be picking that apart. But without further ado, Peter Roisman, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
All right, so I'm going to give you a vice versa. Got two questions, though. I really want to understand what Rev is, and then the transition from the surgery centers to Rev. So take it however you want, but let's understand Rev and then how you came over from surgery centers.
Sure, thanks. So Rev is the name itself is Rev for three reasons: revolutionizing an industry, revving up an engine, right? Revving up the revenues. And so you got really revenues, rev up, and revolutionizing all out of Rev. So what we are is a property technology company that has practical applications to the whole multifamily industry. And so how did I get to that business from my prior business? That's a great question. I really had run the full gamut with Surge Center. We had done quite well and continue to do really well. I've made changes in my career about every 10 years. Every time I get a little bit bored and I want to try something new, I do it because I want to really be excited every single day I get up and go to work. And I'm sure that's why you guys are doing this.
It's kind of how I feel with houses. Like, you can do a house for about 10 years, and regardless of how much you like it, it's just time for the next one. You know,
I always say you never marry real estate.
Yeah. It depends if it's paying you or not.
Yeah, Peter, but why multifamily? I mean, out of all the industries, you've got great colors, you've got great energy. Multifamily is such a boring industry.
It's the snoozer. Yeah, what are you doing, man?
If you do it right.
It's a great question. The industry is so sleepy. And so we looked at this part of the commercial. Look, commercial real estate covers a lot of areas. This is the one area where, if you think about it, all the people that do the leasing in all the other commercial areas, office buildings, medical, retail, industrial, all the other stuff, professional leasing people getting certified and retrained every year. The people that do the leasing in multifamily are the least trained, oftentimes the last hired person in an office. That's wrong. That's absolutely
it's a volume scenario, though, right? Because you have a retail or an office, you're leasing it and probably going for a long period of time. It's one place. You have a multifamily community, 150 to 300 units. I mean, you may be turning those over every 24 months. You hope not,
Absolutely,
but,
you are.
Yeah.
You likely are. You're likely turning 10% over each month.
So I think it's a need sort of scenario where you just need more people doing the job because there's that much more leasing involved in it.
I totally agree with you, Jake. But since there is a need, the industry itself needs to focus more on training up the position, because the position is point of contact, right? First person you meet, that person is going to set the standard for your company. If there's tremendous turnover in that position, you're not going to have a lot of retention, because what's happening, the people that signed up, people to live there, are going to be gone. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be turnover there. There'll be turnover in the units. So it's really important that each owner, asset manager, understands what they have, what is actually happening on your property. And oftentimes they're getting cloudy pictures of this. So we give an independent third-party assessment. They see a report, and we have 130 courses that can train up the leasing team to a very high standard. And it's a subscription model.
Well, it's a great point, because ultimately, as an owner, you want to get to the root cause. And so, is it the location? Has the market shifted? Do I have a dunce in the chair that's not converting? And so, am I understanding this correctly? That your analysis looks at, these that I just mentioned, plus 167 other variables to
About 1,000
pinpoint.
data points, actually. We
Yeah.
collect 1,000 data points over about 14 days. There's phone contacts, there's internet contacts, there's an on-site tour, and basically we're assessing from the property itself standpoint, which is where most of the owners get lost. They have really beautiful properties, but their people aren't performing, and the process they're following is deficient.
Peter, with your vast experience as an entrepreneur building these businesses, can you talk a little bit about the sales aspect? Because multifamily, I think, like as you said, they're not really trained up to be leasing agents at all. What are some of the things that a person listening to this who has an office and is trying to lease up, what should they do? What are some of the steps that they should do to improve their sales?
It's really follow the fundamentals. I mean, we literally have 130 courses. You have to obviously connect to your prospect, and then you have to be in constant contact. One of the leaders that is one of our clients currently told me that he's been with Equity, he's been with other really big companies. He said, I made 500 tours personally. Do you know how many people followed up with me on those tours? You want to take a guess?
I'd hope all of them.
Out of 500. Out of 500.
Wow.
5 out of 500, not 500 out of 500.
1%.
Wow.
1%. That's the level that we're dealing with here. It's literally, there are owners and asset managers that don't have a clear picture.
That's an oversight and auditing issue then.
Absolutely. It's an oversight in training. It's an oversight in auditing. These can all be fixed. These are fixable problems.
These are systems, general business scaling problems that they're not,
Correct.
to fix.
And that's when people hit their problems. A company like Greystar, which is a tremendous leader in the industry, they have 180,000 units they own, and they have another 750,000 units they manage as a third-party manager. Once they started doing the third-party management, they stretched their talent level out to a thin level. And that happens as companies get larger and larger. The lack of training and the lack of recruiting and the lack of the industry itself, and all industries are having problems filling jobs anyway. So if you've got a job that is a difficult job when people are trained well, it's almost an impossible job when they're not trained. It's very hard to perform.
Well, plus you're dealing with historic disruption in, our space, many spaces, which I would deem service based, right? And I'm referring to COVID, because just to give you a little background on our organization, we have 80 some team members on our property management team. We had a very good sort of acceleration leading up to COVID. 2019, we started our business in 2013. We were very stable. Things were going in the right direction. COVID was a landmine, a hand grenade threw up. Maintenance was impossible to hire for. Filling these leasing agent roles was impossible to hire for. And knock on wood, it's just starting to turn around with stability right now, and the labor market is settling down. So, that was extremely challenging, to an industry that was already, challenging. You had to put a lot of focus to it. So all the people in our industry are dealing with that. And then if you expand and your business is growing at the same point, one of the things that has helped us is, and I was referring to oversight and auditing and whatnot, is we've actually, began hiring, like VAs from Brazil to pick up some of this oversight, where you're not having maybe to invest $80,000 on somebody to do that. So that's helped because they can do it remotely and check the guest cards and check the follow-ups. I'm sure you have a great solution as well, but just for the folks out there, that's been one opportunity that I think we're up to like 5 folks now or something like that.
I've heard. I haven't heard Brazil before, but I've heard India. I've heard the Philippines. A lot of back office stuff. Even accounting is moving overseas too, which is great.
Well, 2 of those roles are accounting roles.
Yes,
essential bookkeeping for us
exactly.
right now.
So So the interesting thing so you're familiar with the old school mystery shop, right? Where someone who is
We do
basically
it.
untrained goes in,
Yeah.
Ellis was doing this for years.
Yep.
And so they go in.
I think we're a customer of theirs at
Yeah,
one point.
everybody was.
Yeah.
They were literally the only game in town. So we've taken that early version of mystery shopping, which is send in an untrained eyeball to see what's going on and give you their opinion. And we've turned it into a data collection thing where we put trained people in to assess the leasing, and we're coming up with an actual rating, a score that you can use, and it's broken down by category, and you can see, what they did on these tours, what they didn't do on the follow-up, and literally all the data is right in front of you. And we recommend you do an initial so you see where you are. Then you take 13 weeks of courses of 20 to 30 minutes a day, and so a couple hours a week. And then you get retested. And then you can see the difference in the score, but at the same time, you'll be seeing the improvement on the balance sheet already.
Yeah, if you're filling them up, and yeah, I'm with you on the secret shopper. It's like you look at it as, is there value here? And I think, well, no,
minimal. There is some.
No, let me unpack where I feel the value is. Not necessarily from the information that I'm getting, but from the fact that the team knows you're watching, and there's multiple people out there that are watching. So if you want to just pack it in, oh, hello, this is Gino, I'm a loser, and I got drunk last night, right? They're gonna at least know that it's reviewed, and then if you act on a poor review, you're gonna get more consistent, upbeat, representatives working for the organization.
That's right, Jake.
That to me is what I personally am looking for, not necessarily like because sometimes you got to be able to read through their bullshit, because there's people that are giving these reviews that are not objective, and we get all that. So I'm looking for consistency, friendliness. Yeah.
But here's interesting. Here's my take on that. I think there is some minimal value to it, and you're pointing out one of the things. Two things. One, I think people spot a shopper pretty quickly. So,
my team loves to do that too. They're like, oh, we got shopped today, and it's like they're so proud of it. It's like, oh man.
And so, and when you get the jump in improvement from the people, it's almost like lighting a match. You've got the spark, and then it burns out, and they drop back to the same level again because they haven't improved. They've done no improvement. They just realized they needed to work like normal people work.
Peter, Jake likes being creepy. That's all. He just likes to send people unannounced. He likes to just.
I like to go in unannounced.
Absolutely, I've walked into so many properties and just walked through and made notes in my head and sent them a note afterwards.
Gino and I went on site a few weeks ago, and there was a newer leasing agent, and they didn't stand up.
Dude, that was like, so we walked in, we're like,
see ya!
Stand up and shake their hand.
Yes, we literally looked at each other. The silent look, I looked at him and I'm like, bro, really? Seriously? And it was just like, come on. It's like, and we were talking about this. What makes a good property manager? I mean, like, Peter, break it down, because it seems nowadays we're celebrating what was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, just regular, cordial, being great, having good energy. Now, if you find somebody like that, they are an A+ rock star. It's the most bizarre thing in the world. We were talking about it on Monday morning, like, yeah, this person, she's great. She's got great energy. She even mops the floor. She stays a couple minutes late. She answers the phone. I'm like, holy shit, I was doing this when I was 14 years old.
If you can get the base level 17-year-old at Chick-fil-A, you're thrilled, right?
Exactly. So, here's some of the psychology of it. And we do teach the psychology of leasing too. So the psychology is this: someone who is bored, on their phone, doesn't stand up, doesn't return calls, they don't want to be there. Okay. They're just punching.
And we don't want them there.
And you don't want them there. Exactly.
Let's just break up immediately. This is not
So where are those people supposed to be? That's the funny part. Like, where are they going? Like,
mom's basement.
I guess so.
Playing Counter-Strike.
Maybe they're night watch people or something. Who knows?
I don't want to watch in my place.
That's even worse.
So, but anyway, the psychology of it is that position is either a winning position, it's an asset, or it's a detriment.
Yep.
And so I was told by another very high up person about a year ago, she said to me, she ran a 700,000 unit portfolio. She said to me, I'm afraid to invest in leasing. I said, you should be afraid not to invest in leasing.
Mm-hmm.
I flipped it on her. I literally said, that's the wrong answer.
Did you say 700,000 units?
700,000 units.
Holy shit.
Yeah. One of the biggest owners of all.
Yeah.
And
That's the mothership right there.
Exactly. And so if you think about it, you have to take a precarious position and turn it into an asset. Turn that into this person that you were describing, right, Gino?
Mm-hmm.
Turn it into that person that's doing everything, cares what the room smells like, that there's fresh flowers, there might be cookies. They will definitely stand up and
stage
shake
the
your hand.
unit. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, all of that is really, really important.
Peter, you're not a spring chicken. You're getting into prop technology. That word even scares me. That word scares me. I mean, like, how do you even think about getting into data and getting into tech? Like, where was the idea? I mean, it's to me, it sounds like a daunting task getting into this.
It's a great question. So I'm definitely not a spring chicken. I'm probably a summer chicken. So,
Summer's a nice season.
You're laying a lot of eggs there still. Okay, good. You're still being productive. I got it.
I figure I got another 60 years to go. So whatever that makes me. So interesting, the score. I was talking with one of my partners about the credit scores, right? I was thinking credit scores. I'm thinking, why can't we rate the leasing? We should be rating leasing because it can only help owners and asset managers, right? And so we came up with what data points we needed. So we wrote the programs. We created this team of people out there in the field that we trained up. They go and do on this on-site tours. They send in the data. And so, we basically said the industry's asleep to some degree. It's happy and doing well, but it could be doing even better. And so let's wake them up, right? Let's wake them up, give them the information they're not getting, and give them a chance to be better at what they're doing. So that's
You're talking income verification, or what are we talking about?
Well, that has to happen, obviously, on every property, but we don't do that specific. We're literally checking the performance of the person, right? Whether they're going through the regular protocols, the process that's being written for them, right?
The internal processes of the leasing staff, right?
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
And then the property itself, we evaluate that as a physical property as well as the online presence.
You're franchising the model, essentially. We know this works. You guys are doing this. We think this is a better fit. Yeah.
Exactly. And here's the information you need to be better.
Yeah.
Before we go to the short answers, just share with us a little bit more about what Rev does as far as bringing.
Yeah, I know. I feel like you just kind of dangling it out there, but we want to know, like, a lot of man juice. We're revving it up. We're getting leases, let's look under the hood a little bit here.
Okay, so the basic program is this. We come in and we assess the performance as is, right? This is where we are today. That's our baseline. From there, we actually provide access to our online courses. They're AI taught and AI generated, but
this is training for leasing agents and managers.
Yes, we will train them up and then we'll rescore them. That's basically the program.
Cool. That sounds good. All right, guys, let's take a quick time out to hear from our sponsor.
This episode of the Jake and Gino podcast is brought to you by Wheelbarrow Profits, the premier multifamily education community. Wheelbarrow Profits proof is in their results. Their members have closed over 86,000 units. That's over $5 billion in student deal volume. Are you serious about taking your real estate game to the next level? Do you have the confidence to take action? Schedule a call with the Wheelbarrow Profits team today and supercharge your real estate knowledge. Build lasting relationships through unparalleled networking opportunities. Obtain lasting knowledge on how to buy multifamily real estate with intensive training. Gain hands-on experience through their live events with like-minded individuals and industry professionals, all while experiencing the personal touch and family atmosphere that set them apart. Visit wheelbarrowprofits.com for more information.
All right, we are back. So going through the discussion, I listed my top 3 issues. And I'm going to throw them over to you and see if I get a volley back or if you spike me here. So I got the agent, okay? The agent could be, an issue for sure. I think that's an easy one to identify. The price. You could be, going yelling at your agent, but ultimately your price is just not in line. And then the third one was the presentation of the unit. Right? If you're showing a scuzzed up unit that's not staged, that smells like marijuana, like Gino was in there last week, you might have a problem.
Yep.
That's a little smirk from Gino. That was not even a half smirk from Gino. Gino's like, anyways. But thoughts on those?
Yep. You, you,
Yeah.
you pick three core topics. Obviously, the agent. Most agents are undertrained and underqualified. So, and it's interesting. I'll point out something that you probably know but hadn't really focused on. Someone that all managers have been hired out of leasing. Okay, so the managers prove they're really good at leasing, and then they move over to the management side. And so that's the career path. If you come in as a leasing person, it's a starting point. If you show you're really good, you're moved out of leasing. There is really no career path in leasing. And so the problem is, one, leasing really doesn't have that much to do with management. Okay, so proving you're good at leasing doesn't mean you're going to be good at management. Two, you're taking someone who is good at something and you're putting him in a questionable position whether they're going to be good at. You don't need to break that one. That one can just stay. Just keep leasing. We're going to keep moving you up, make you a leasing director, make you a leasing manager, keep moving up in leasing. So I think the definition of leasing agent needs to be requalified. So that's what
Can I squat here for a minute? Because for folks that may own units but are not involved in the management, this is such a profound thing to say, and we've seen it in our company time and time again. The number one issue that we have with property managers, he referred to it as management, but it's actually leadership. You're many times, if you're promoting from within, you're promoting someone that has succeeded at being bubbly, friendly, able to convert. That's a totally different skill set than being a property manager. And that's why a lot of times when we're hiring for our property managers, we're happy to look to other industries and other mid-level managers and bring them over, because it's actually that skill set that converts better than the leasing skill set. I'll give you an example. We actually just took somebody who was running a liquor store, and you might say, "Oh, because it's like liquor or whatever, it's a bad thing." No, it's a business. They have to make sales. They have to make sure the shop is kept up, etc. Doing a phenomenal job. But many times we've promoted that leasing agent, and then when the maintenance tech or the maintenance lead has an issue or there's interpersonal things, they crumble. They don't know how to handle it, and the thing falls apart. So that's a great point, and I really recommend folks take note of that. And if you're an owner and you're having issues, challenge your property team to look at things like that.
Yeah, thanks, Jake. And it actually works back the other way as well. So we find we have shifted our business in the 6 years we've been operating. We used to actually recruit people to become great leasing people and train them ourselves, as opposed to letting it self train and have the scoring system. When we did that, we went outside the industry. We did not take any retreads. We didn't take people that were already leasing agents to come into.
That's one of the biggest problems with the industry is these same folks keep recirculating, and the reason we're recirculating is because they didn't work out at the prior place.
Correct. And if you think about it for a minute, the people that would apply to get these jobs are people who were passed over for management and promotions. Do you really want to keep hiring and rehiring the same people that didn't get promoted?
You're picking up someone else's problem.
Exactly. So that's basically all my thoughts on the leasing agents. Although I do think, by and large, most of the people can be trained. There's a lot of upside in working through a program. Not everybody's going to end up at excellent, but the ones that are fair can become good. The ones that are good can become very good. I mean, there's upward mobility here. If one thing happens, they try to learn. It's on them. You go to school, you don't go to class, you do your homework, you're not going to learn anything.
Yeah, you need an individual with a desire to grow and succeed in life.
Exactly. So that's my thought. So price is a great question. So when we do our scoring, we shop comps. So we know what the price is in the neighborhood in the submarket. And so if the price is not right, and by the way, price is a fungible thing. If are you giving concessions take off the price, right? Are you paying locators? If you have to pay a locator, that comes off of the price. And so, there's true dollars earned on a unit. And we like to teach a way that you don't have to concess and you don't have to use the locators. And so we believe that our program will teach people to keep costs down, cost of sales down, which increases the net operating income.
Yeah, well, because right now you're seeing a run up going into 2022 and then a stalling out, essentially, right? The prices are kind of just, we're in this lingering period now. And the thing that you don't ever want to do is obviously go backwards, right? You sort of achieved a cap rate environment or a market rate, and going the other way hurts. And so you like right now is that time where you attempt to hold the line the best you can, but sometimes you got to be real with yourself. If the market has shifted negatively, you may have to do something.
Yeah,
So.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought up financial markets, because it was something I wanted to talk about with you guys today. Utilizing our program successfully will get you better treatments from the financial markets because of the stability and risk reduction that you'll be putting on your property.
Mm-hmm.
Once you've stabilized your leasing team, if that same person has stayed there a year, 2 years, performing well, representing the company well, your numbers are going to be completely stable. You'll have lower costs and better production, you'll have better cap rates and better lending rates. You'll get better treatment in the financial markets. That's really important for an owner and asset manager.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you obviously want to go to Fannie if you're not there already with your loan, and if you're dipping below 90%, you're gonna have an issue with that. So it plays a pivotal role in you securing the preferred financing. And I'm going to challenge you on something though.
Yeah.
I think you only have half the equation, and Rev could be the total dominator if you add the maintenance training to the equation.
I was just going to ask that.
And the KPIs. Well, the reason being is I believe the customer service on a property really comes through maintenance. And if the maintenance team is properly trained, if the work orders are being executed in 24 hours, your net promoter score is ultimately going to increase. And I'm saying that from experience.
No, I agree.
And so if you're addressing the work orders in a timely fashion, the leasing then becomes paired with retention, which makes babies.
Nope,
right?
You're right.
Baby money soldiers.
Can I tell you how many people in the industry have brought up maintenance to me? I would say almost everybody.
Well, if you're in it, you know, right?
You do know, and you're so right. And it's such a hard position to fill and keep at a high level. And it's interesting. We actually, as a company, recommend that our clients have their entire office, including their maintenance person, take the leasing courses.
I love it.
So it's really,
why is that?
Because the team has to be singing from the same songbook, and if there's a weak link, it breaks. And so everyone has to be. Look, everybody can't be everywhere at all times, so you got to have interchangeable parts, and everybody has to be doing things well in the same way.
I agree. I think the leasing agents need to know how much the maintenance job sucks. And I think the maintenance techs need to understand how much leasing can suck, because they're on the front end. They're the ones who are getting yelled at. They're the ones who are going on these tours, getting told no. And the maintenance staff is out there when it's 22 degrees fixing an air conditioner. So if they have empathy towards each other and for each other, it'll be a lot easier to work with each other. So when there's a problem, the maintenance tech's going to go out there and say, I'm going to take this care of you because I don't want you to get yelled at. And when a leasing agent has a problem, they're going to say, hey, maintenance tech, I'm going to help you out here. I'm going to make sure that this gets covered. So that's something that
Gino, you just define leadership.
Oh, I guess so.
And teamwork.
That's and that's the leadership, and that's where if you've led people before, and that's what I was saying, from those mid-level managers that have done it, they know, and that's one of the things that's lacking in the industry. Question for you: so bringing folks together, I had an idea over the weekend about requiring my property managers and my maintenance leads to actually present the final tour of the unit together to the person that's moving in. So think about this. You're getting your keys. It's Friday afternoon. The manager and the lead will tour the unit with you and make sure it's to your absolute satisfaction, not just one or the other. Okay. At the end of that, they're going to give you a satisfaction card with a QR code that goes to the property's Google page.
Woo!
And then if they give you a 5-star review, bonusing each of those people, so they're tied together on it, because here's the thing: you could have all the great warm and fuzzies, but you gotta deliver that unit solidly. And then if you're already getting your work orders within 24 hours, you're really creating a Chick-fil-A type experience for the resident. And so that was, every time I go on vacation, I fart out a little golden nugget. That was my one for this one.
Jake was out there snorkeling in St. Lucia, baby. And while he's snorkeling, looking at those beautiful fish and his wife's right next to him, holding her hand, he's thinking about leasing and turning units and giving the keys.
That's exactly
baby.
right, Gino.
By the way, St. Lucia's pretty nice. My wife and I went there last year. It was nice.
Wow.
So yeah, in answer to your question, Jake, I think that's a fantastic way to deliver a unit. I can't think of a better way.
Yeah.
If it's short of the owner being there, that's the best way to
No,
deliver.
it's showing care, to the resident, and then you're rewarding good behavior via a bonus. After
But Jake, you think if there's an issue there, we can address the issue? Maybe not at that point, but oh wow,
that's the point, right?
Yeah.
And then you still may be able to solve the issue at that point and get the 5-star review. But if you're the person, to his point, that really cares and wants to grow, you're gonna identify that shit beforehand, because you don't want to look like a jabroni when you're showing the unit, and then you're going, to your maintenance lead or to your property manager, I missed my end of it, so we're not getting paid now, right?
Nope, it's really good one. I like it a lot, and it's interesting how many
add it to your process, and then just give me a shout out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to definitely mention that to my team. I think it's a good one. Thank you, and I'll give you a footnote.
Give me a plug, baby.
So you'll be surprised, like many other parts of doing the leasing job, how many people do not do a good tour path, right? They haven't been down the tour path to make sure it's the right way to show the property. And so there's so many things that can be improved upon. There, upselling is very rarely done. How about one that's really basic?
How about the damn shower curtain? That's my biggest one, right? Because let's be honest, if we have a property built in the 90s, you may have an almond tub for the folks that don't know. That's tan. And maybe it just doesn't look great, but you're not ready to refinish it yet. But you could put a beautiful, white sunny shower curtain over it, and it's curb appeal. That makes a big difference to me. Okay.
Kitchens and bathrooms.
Peter, take us on the tour. I want to hear this tour.
That's like the shower curtains are like my pet peeve right now.
No,
I can't get off.
It's true. Well, there have been so many tours that have been ruined by
lack of shower curtains.
How about garbage on the tour path? I mean, you literally, if your agent hasn't pre-walked the tour path,
yes.
I mean, there's just basic stuff done
Get the
wrong.
blower out,
They also then, when you're on your tour, are they not trying to upsell? Right? They might be showing a 1-bedroom. Let's show you a 1-bedroom in an add-on room. Right? Let's show you.
We showed you our premium remodel by the G Daddy.
Exactly. So, I mean, there are so many points along the leasing experience where there's time to shine, and those times are missed. And it's a shame, because those opportunities are there to be captured. And that's kind of what we're there trying to help with.
We're trying to create some hallmark moments, folks.
Exactly. Everything should smell good. Everything should look clean. Everything,
including the leasing agent's breath.
Including their dress when they walk you around.
Yes. Make sure we're popping in a mint. Anything that you've read, any podcasts, anything that's added value to your life in the last year or so that you want to give a shout out to?
It's a great question. I think I've learned the most by talking to people and
network with the big ballers that own 700,000 doors.
Yeah,
Check.
You learn a lot, but you learn that they don't have all the answers yet, which is actually encouraging to the rest of us, because I never claimed to have all the answers either. But we're trying to build a solution that can help the whole industry, no matter if you have 100 units or you have 100,000 units. Basically, our program works for everybody. There's no reason not to have the best performance on your property and on all your properties. But one interesting thing that we're doing is we're going to have, AI is already part of our program now. We're seeing what we can do with AI to do a lot of our analysis, because we're training our bots to basically do the analysis that our people are now doing. so that our people could be freed up to do other things.
Mm-hmm.
So we're really big into the tech world. And you asked how I could get into the tech world, not being a spring chicken. And I have very capable.
He hired big balls, Gino.
Honestly, the average age at our company, minus me, is probably 32, something like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great.
You got the old guys working there then.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that if you take me out, we have some in their early 20s and
There
some
you go.
are pushing 40.
Yeah,
So I guess it's somewhere in the low 30s.
All right, Gino, you ready to take us home?
Yeah, Peter's got a great story. I mean, he's part of the ambulatory surgery center, disrupting that space. And then I think, as his words said, after 10 years, he gets a little bored, he gets a little ADD. And then all of a sudden, he goes into one of the most sleepiest, slowest industries of multifamily. But there's a caveat, Jake. In the multifamily space, there's a real big issue. We talk about buy right, finance right, and manage right. That third wheel, that wheel of the wheelbarrow that is in constant motion, is just not really done well in our space. And there's a lot of ability to be able to disrupt it. And I love how Peter delineates the difference between leasing and managing. And that to me was the golden nugget, where you think, hey, someone's doing a great job in this seat of the bus. Let's move him into this seat of the bus. And should you do that? Or should they stay in that seat? Or should you compensate them even more to continue along? And I think Rev is an amazing idea. I think the solutions that his company provides a tremendous amount of value to that third leg, because it's all about growing your net operating income. If you can increase your net operating income, if you can increase, as Jake likes to say, the Chick-fil-A, the customer experience of the individual in your property, long-term, you'll have less turnover, less expenses, happier customers, but not even happier residents, happier employees, and then that trickles down to your investors and then ultimately the ownership group.
You said it better than I could.
Make it at money, Gino. I love it. Gang, as always, we believe in buying deals for the long term. Think in decades. I'm Jake. He is the G Daddy, and we make it happen. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Peter.
Thanks, guys. Enjoyed it.